Okay, so now
We're back
I'm going
again.
to, we're back again, and now I'm just going to read the statement of the facts. And these facts have all been backed up with evidence. So,
This case, just in case you're wondering, if you want to look it up on your own,
the case number
this
is,
in
just
the
a second.
United States District Court for the District of Oregon, the Portland Division. It's case number 312 CV 00171 MO.
Okay, so now I'm going to go back and I'm just going to start with reading just the facts. So I need to get to the right page. Okay. In March of 2007, plaintiff Renee Stevens was a footwear designer at Nike working for Nike subsidiary Exeter Brands Group. Plaintiff R. Stevens complained to Nike about witnessing and being a victim of sexual harassment on the Nike campus by one of his superiors, Randy Wolf. On March 9th, 2007, defendant Nike completed an investigation and issued a fact-finding determination that revealed that there was behavior inconsistent with Nike policy. On March 12, 2007, plaintiff R. Stevens filed a formal charge of discrimination against Nike with the Equal Employment Opportunities Commission, claiming sex discrimination and sexual harassment. Plaintiff R. Stevens filed a complaint with the EEOC to help defendant Nike understand that it was not appropriate for his work relationship with Randy Wolf to continue and that he should be moved to a different department. Defendant Nike told the EEOC that plaintiff R. Stevens does not have the right to choose his remedy and that plaintiff R. Stevens did not even have a right to know if his allegations were substantiated or if a remedy had even been applied. On March 20th, 2007, plaintiff R. Stevens' father passed away, of which he informed defendant Nike, and plaintiff R. Stevens took 2 weeks off to attend the funeral. On April 12, 2007, plaintiff Kadira Stevens was spending the night at the house of defendants Todd Burkholder and Amy McQuiston for an overnight with their daughter Sophie Burkholder. That night, plaintiff K. Stevens attempted to contact plaintiff Q. Stevens so that plaintiff Q. Stevens' little sister Kamaya could say goodnight to plaintiff Q. Stevens. Plaintiff K. Stevens spoke with defendant McQuiston, who stated that plaintiff Q. Stevens had been burned and that plaintiff K. Stevens should come over. Plaintiff K. Stevens proceeded to defendants Burkholder McQuiston's home, where she was led down to their basement to find plaintiff Q. Stevens naked, wrapped only in a towel on the couch, her face swollen and red from crying, and with a severe burn on her left leg. Plaintiff K. Stevens brought plaintiff Q. Stevens home, where plaintiff R. Stevens also saw the burn sustained by plaintiff Q. Stevens. Plaintiff K. Stevens contacted her mother, Miss Audrey Lloyd, for advice of what to do and was told to take plaintiff Q. Stevens to the hospital. Plaintiff K. Stevens contacted defendants Burkholder and McQuiston to ask if they would come to the Stevens residence because plaintiff R. Stevens and plaintiff K. Stevens had 3 other small children who were sleeping and could not be left alone, and plaintiff Q. Stevens needed to be taken to the hospital right away. Plaintiff R. Stevens and plaintiff K. Stevens left for the hospital immediately after defendant Todd Burkholder arrived at their home. Miss Audrey Lloyd arrived at the home of plaintiff K. and R. Stevens shortly after they left for Providence Hospital. Plaintiff K. and R. Stevens took plaintiff Q. Stevens to the emergency room department of defendant Providence St. Vincent's Hospital, where she was seen by defendant Dr. Julie Andrews. Defendant Andrews diagnosed plaintiff Q. Stevens with a 10 to 20% second-degree burn on plaintiff Q. Stevens' left knee. Plaintiff Q. Stevens was seen by defendant Julie Andrews, who applied silver sulfidine cream and gauze wrapped to her leg, then discharged her 20 minutes later with orders to apply the same treatment, to give plaintiff Q. Stevens acetaminophen with codeine for pain, and to see her regular doctor for follow-up care. On April 13, 2007, plaintiff R. Stevens contacted defendants Burkholder and McQuiston to let them know how plaintiff Q. Stevens was doing and to ask for their homeowner's insurance to ensure plaintiff Q. Stevens' medical expenses would be covered. Defendant Todd Burkholder told State Farm Insurance Company representative Beth Phipps that plaintiff R. Stevens and plaintiff K. Stevens asked for his homeowner's insurance because they were just interested in getting money and that they did not care about plaintiff Q. Stevens. Plaintiff K. Stevens took plaintiff Q. Stevens to defendant OHSU Gabriel Park Medical Center that day to have her burns evaluated. Plaintiff Q. Stevens was seen by defendant Dr. Sarah Tubingsing, as well as several other unknown doctors and nurses, all of whom did nothing to help plaintiff Q. Stevens. So I want to stop right there and talk a little bit about what I've been talking about. And right now we're just a little bit into the facts. Renee and I have really suffered a lot of criticism for how we how we dealt with our daughter's burn. Walking in and seeing your child all burned up in a basement,
Naked.
in a towel, is horrifying. And I really seriously did not know what to do that night. And I mean, when I came home, I called my mom and I was screaming and crying and asking her what to do because I didn't know what to do. And yeah, she told me to take Kadira to the hospital, and I did take Kadira to the hospital, but you know, when I got to the hospital, it's not like they told me that this was a major emergency. Now, I know now that the skin is the largest organ of the body, so an injury to your skin is serious. I mean, a burn is
one of the most serious injuries that your body can sustain. We know that now.
And
when I saw the burn, I believe I went into shock. We did what we were told. We went to the hospital, but really...
They told us to take her home. They told us to wrap her leg.
We did what the doctors told us to. At that point, we had absolutely no reason not to believe them.
I mean, you don't think that your doctor is blatantly lying to you or trying to cover up a crime against your child. I mean, the things we know now, the things that should have been done.
There's an entire protocol that
if
was
they
just
thought,
not followed.
Right. And if they thought that...
If they thought anything...
If they thought...
Their responsibility was to elevate this matter to the proper authorities and treat her.
I mean...
Which they did none of.
Exactly. So, let's stop there. And we're going to return to the facts in the next episode. Because we don't want to inundate you too much. Because there's a lot to talk about.